Did you know, according to an article in EcoWatch, that in the past 10 years we have produced more plastic than we have in an entire century? It is because of this monstrosity and misuse of plastic that I believe any plastic that cannot be reused more than 100 times should be made illegal. I'm more than qualified to talk about this topic because I am obsessed with the idea of recycling. I research all the time how I could make my home more eco-friendly, and every time I see someone throw out plastic in a regular trash can, it makes me cringe because I just know that it's going to end up in a landfill and just take 1,000 years to biodegrade, and I can just picture the whole thing, and it's just not a pretty sight. So since plastic is not a necessity and there are other products that can be used that are better for the environment, I believe that plastic that cannot be reused more than 100 times should be banned, since over 50% of the plastic we use is only used once and actually just thrown away and not reused a second time. So one reason why plastic should be banned if it cannot be reused more than 100 times is because the micro pieces of plastic that end up in the ocean actually end up in our seafood, which we actually consume. So according to a new study, microscopic pieces of plastic can be found in the seafood that we consume daily. And since the plastic has many toxins that should not be consumed, it has been thought that through the micro pieces of plastic that chemicals are released into the human body. Not only is the chemicals released into the human body harmful, but also to the environment as well. So another reason why plastic should be banned if it cannot be reused more than 100 times is because it takes anywhere from 450 to 1,000 years to decompose, which is just a crazy, crazy thought. So if you think about it, one Starbucks cup that I use today will not fully biodegrade until my great grandchildren are born. So that same Starbucks cup is going to be sitting in the same spot and just be getting a little bit withered every single year until it's finally gone after at least 450 years. That's at least, if not more, because it says it takes up to 1,000. The easy solution to this horrific fact is to recycle all plastic. However, according to a study by Post Consumers, what most people don't know is that 90% of plastic bottles alone, not even packaging or plastic wrap or anything like that, are not even recycled. So when someone drinks a water bottle, they throw it in the regular trash, or they throw it out the window, or whatever, any form, but it's not being recycled. And since recycling plastic is an option, but many people do not use it, it would just be better off if plastic was eliminated altogether, and instead of coming up with 100 different solutions that most people won't follow, we can just get rid of the problem itself and figure out a new source to package our goods. So if plastic cannot be reused more than 100 times and makes it illegal, what would be the new alternative that people would use instead of these plastic packaging? So a better alternative for using harmful plastics would be to use glass. There are some downsides, but there are way more positives than there are negatives to using glass for our packaging. So glass is a more eco-friendly option than plastic, and it is actually made from sand, which is a natural element, so that's already one natural thing that is occurring in this product. And it is free of chemicals that are consumed through drinking and eating. So if you put a plastic container in the microwave with your food, you're getting those toxins in your body through your food. And if you leave your water bottle in a hot car for 5 days and then go back at night when it's cold again, you think it's fine, but it's actually not. It's been sitting in those chemicals for all those 5 days. So as I established earlier, only 10% of plastic used is actually recycled. So that brings up the question, why would someone want to recycle glass if they don't even recycle plastic? The easy solution to this is whether you throw your bottles in a recycling bin to be turned into new glass bottles, whether you just throw them in the trash, or whether you reuse them 100 times, all of these options and accidental recycling of reusing without even thinking about it is way more safe than throwing a plastic bottle into a trash can that goes into a landfill that sits there for 500 years. Glass breaks down. If it goes in the ocean, it makes sea glass. It's not harmful to anything unless a fish eats it, but if it's already sea glass, it won't cut their intestines, and it'll be gone in a few days. So going off of that, the only two downsides that I personally can think of for using glass instead of plastic would be that glass breaks easily, so you can't necessarily use it around children. Instead of a plastic baby bottle, I don't think you can use a glass one in case it drops and cuts someone. And then the other downside is that it is more expensive. So companies like Poland Springs, I don't see them making glass bottles anytime soon and replacing their plastic ones. But if they were to, a $5 pack of water would probably go up to like $20 because glass is very expensive. And on top of that, the companies would try and make it cheaper and then maybe substitute some chemicals in the glass, make it like fake, almost fake glass, and then it would just end up being plastic all over again and bad for the environment. So it kind of goes into like a whole cycle. So people have to be willing to want to spend the money to make the environment better. In conclusion, think of your children and future family members in 100, 400, 500 years. Even though that seems so far down the line, do you want them to have this beautiful world that we have now where we can go to the beach and enjoy and sadly only find like 4 plastic bottles or plastic anything in the ocean or on the sand? Or do you want them in 500 years when all of your stuff is still decomposing for them to have to sit on the beach and bring a shovel to the beach and carve out a spot in the sand so there's actually sand and not plastic bottles around them, and to just have to wear a wetsuit and a mask anytime they want to even dip in the water because it's just not safe from all the plastic and all the dead fish like floating up because all the plastic is killing them? Personally, I do not want that. So to save our children and future families from a world filled with plastic and harsh chemicals that come from the plastic, we need to make a change, which is exactly why plastic that cannot be reused more than 100 times should be made illegal to save our environment, our bodies, our future families, and everything around us. And that is why plastic that cannot be reused more than 100 times should be made illegal.